Do I identify as a dreamer? I would say that prior to coming to CTC and the Tell Me Your Dreams program, I didn't. I'm a very pragmatic person. I think in logistics. I'm very much a realist. It's whatever can get you from A to Z in the most efficient and effective way possible. Big into goal setting and figuring out what is most achievable in front of me and then going after that as opposed to big picture dreaming. And so because of that, when I entered the Tell Me Your Dreams program, it was very much a self-actualization process as much as it was a dreaming process for me to really conceptualize what it meant to be a dreamer. And so going through that was very revealing, I think, on a lot of different levels. One of them being freeing because I am so pragmatic and such a realist in so many different ways. It allowed me to strive for something that I didn't necessarily think was achievable. That was very much a dream. And then I was able to actually set forth and achieve it. And now I'm here recording this, talking to all of you, which is pretty rad. The Tell Me Your Dreams program at CTC is literally that, where you get to sit down and talk with a dream guide about your life story, what led you to CTC, and what's going to take you beyond CTC ultimately to become the person that you're meant to be and how you engage in this journey of becoming who you are. And for me to land on buying a home was very much representative of my past and my upbringing. I come from what you could describe as a broken home in a lot of different ways, a divorced family. My parents' divorce took approximately 10 years. And so for me, a home represents more than just a place for me to lay my head at night. It represents like a sense of safety, a sense of security, a place that I can come back to and know that it's mine. And so coming to a place that allowed for me to not only acknowledge that that was something that was really important to me, but encouraged me to make that a priority for myself, allowed for me to create certain stringent behaviors, I guess, in terms of budgeting, for me to actually go forward and achieve my dream to buy a house. I originally declared buying a home within 2 years, and I ultimately was able to make that a reality in much shorter of a time span because one of the things that I had declared at the beginning of the year was I wasn't going to buy any clothes, I wasn't going to buy any shoes, and I wasn't going to buy any accessories. And I stayed really true to that. I limited eating out even. Whatever I could do to kind of pinch here and save there aided in my journey to buying a home. I got in touch with some really great and amazing real estate agents that my direct supervisor, who's a managing partner here, put me in touch with. And so I felt very cared for in the process, and I felt very trusting in the process, which was also really crucial. So if you are embarking on your own journey of buying a home, I highly recommend having a really great connection with your real estate agent. What was really powerful in my relationship with my real estate agents is they sat me down and they actually had me write down everything that meant that encompassed a dream home for me and what were those things. And then we went through and we force ranked them. And so we finally got to a place where I found a home that actually didn't meet 100% of the criteria, but it met my top 3. And so those top 3 things were ultimately what were my deal breaker. And I am happy as can be being a homeowner in Southern California now, with a very short commute to work and an even shorter commute to the beach. And I feel very safe, so it's great. To identify as a homeowner, to identify myself as somebody who's achieved a dream at CTC for me specifically means that I am able to open up my home now to hosting events. And one of the most monumental things for me personally that is very deep in my heart is on New Year's Day is now a home tradition for me where I get to host my family and they come over and I finally have a dining room table that's big enough to host everybody. One of the other things that kept me on my budget was I lived in a very small apartment prior to buying a home so that I kept my costs down and I didn't have a dining room table. I didn't have a dining room at all. So now my family came over on New Year's Day and I got to cook them a meal, and we walked over to a park that's very close to the beach, and we got to play games, and I got to push my nephew and my niece in swings, and it was a pretty epic day, and I was just very happy to open up my home and return the favor that they constantly show me in terms of just opening up my heart, because my home is such a representation of my heart. The other really cool thing about identifying as a homeowner is that I got to really be involved in the decorating, and so much of what's come to fruition were ideas that I just had in my head. And it's pretty remarkable to sit in a place that's surrounded by your ideas that you get to invite people into in the real world. So that's also been really rad. What I learned about dreaming from having achieved one dream into entering my re-identification process here through the Tell Me Your Dreams program is that my pragmatic sense still allows for my wings to have roots, so to speak. And so there is a really great chance of me actually accomplishing something as wild as a dream, knowing that my foundation is very goal-oriented and logistics-focused, which makes my new dream that I'm going to be declaring in the very near future something that also seems far-fetched, but I'm able to break it down into digestible steps and some really achievable milestones, which is one of the things that I love most about our pursuit process now, that allows for a dreamer to take something that can be almost out of this world, just out of reach, and you break it down into some bigger milestones that allow for you to say, wow, this is me, an actual step, taking steps towards accomplishing my dreams. Prior to having done that with something so big and far-fetched in my first dream, I don't think that I would set my next dream to be as big of a hairy, audacious goal, dream, what have you, as it will be. So it makes me a more daring dreamer, I suppose. Advice that I could offer other dreamers out there would be, if you identify with myself and being very type A, and I'm a 1 on the Enneagram, is not to limit yourself by what you think you can actually like reach out and touch and achieve, and that there's a really big world out there, and if you give yourself the opportunity to dive into the truest desires of your heart, there is very real chance that you can go out and achieve them. You just have to give yourself the opportunity, and giving yourself the chance to be a dreamer when so much of your roots are heavily planted in this earth. Yeah, wings are fun to fly with, is what I'll say.